welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Michael, Kevin, Jank.
I'm here, and hopefully I read the right issue.
Yes, we had to do the intro twice because I screwed it up and I said the wrong issue. Here's what happened, Jank. Today we're doing Captain America issue 335
Oh, thank God.
from
Bullet dodge.
1987. What happened is I looked down at my notes and John Walker, we were doing it for his honor today, Thunderbolt John Walker, his first appearance was Captain America 323. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I looked at my notes.
Wow, that's a
by
long
mistake.
way till he became Captain America then.
Yeah, like a year, yeah.
They had some forethought, apparently.
Yeah, that's the thing about this is Mark Grunwald, of course, is the writer. Maybe not the best writer in terms of, nuts and bolts, line by line writing, but big picture plotting wise, he was special. This Mark Grunwald
Yeah,
guy.
he sure was. He had a
Yeah.
long run on Captain America. Honestly, I think most of the Captain America books we've done have been from his run.
He had a
So,
10-year run, 10
yeah.
years, and it only ended because of his tragic passing. And but he did all the Scourge stuff, right? And that was great, and
Yeah,
all the
he
Captain
had all
America.
this U.S. agent stuff. Like,
Yeah.
pretty much all the iconic Captain America stuff was him, one way or the other.
So yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, the reason we're doing this is because I saw the Thunderbolts and I liked it, and I told Jank to go see the Thunderbolts. And what was your response, Jank?
Well, I jumped right on it, went to the theater, and saw Final Destination Bloodline.
What a creep! But yeah, if you're out there, go see Thunderbolts. It's good. And John Walker is a prominent role in there, played by Wyatt Russell.
Yeah, who doesn't love Wyatt Russell? He's pretty
Very
great.
good. You know what? I liked him in what was it? Lodge 48? Is that what it was? Or Lodge?
B9, something like that.
Something like
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
I think I only watched like 2 episodes, but yeah, it was interesting.
I really liked it. His sister on there is great. Big fan of hers. All right. So anyway, that's what we're doing today on the show. Before we get there, let's remind everybody if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. We're up to 361 subscribers.
Ooh,
Picked up three.
that's pretty good. That's a big week for us.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, Night Nurse is still trending upward. She's still going. And your Mighty Crusaders, I think it's going to snap your streak of shows under 50 views. I think it's trending to beat it. So
Cousin Pete comes through again.
Pete equals ratings. So that's something. But yeah, that's and if we get to 500 subscribers, Jank is going to make me read The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait.
Yeah.
Hopefully it happens before I get too old and forget that I have dementia and can't remember that I made
Yes,
you
I don't
this
think it's
this
ever going to
vow.
happen. Also have a book out there called Monkey Flip about a chimp detective. All right.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Captain America 335. And this is old John Walker, as we said. And this issue is written by Mark Grunwald and drawn by a fella named Tom Morgan, right? Yep. Tom
Yeah,
Morgan.
not a name I was overly familiar with.
Yeah, I was thinking of, is it Tom Palmer who did Avengers for a while?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So I think I was confusing the two. Yeah, since we're here, I don't know a lot about Tom Morgan, but he had 123 penciling credits at Marvel. And he did Captain America's issue 330, 332 to 338, and 350. He also did 16 issues of Iron Man between 1993 and 95, and 20 issues of Punisher 2099 from
Oh,
1993 to 95.
sure.
I think he had a hand
Remember
in
that.
co-creating that. And he drew the 5-page Fart Man comic in Howard Stern's 1995 book Miss America.
Well, that's a feather in your cap.
Yeah, that's right.
Co-creator of Fart Man.
And as we mentioned, Mark Grunwald, yeah, he had a 10-year run on Captain America from 1985 to 1995. During that span, he missed one issue. Um,
Ooh.
so from issue 307 to 443, and the only issue he missed was issue 423.
Was there a reason?
I don't know. I didn't look into it. But yeah.
Yeah,
There
I
you
feel
go.
like that was kind of like Peter David's Hulk run, where it was just like I think he missed one issue, and Bob Harris did it for some reason. I never
Yeah,
really found out the
I
story
want to
behind
say
that.
we looked into this before, maybe when we did Grunwald for something, and for some reason I want to say Tom DeFalco did the one he didn't do, but I don't know if that's true. Let's just go with that. All right, so yeah, John Walker's the star attraction here. because during this point in Captain America, what's been going on here is that
Hmm.
there's this committee called the Commission on Superhuman Activities.
Yeah.
And do you remember when their first appearance was, Jack?
Uh,
How
Phew.
about just the
No, I
book?
mean
Do
it
you
could
remember
have
the
been around
book?
Uncanny X-Men when
That's
Storm
right.
lost her powers. Was that
Well, Uncanny X-Men issue 199, so it was a little after that.
to that?
Um,
Yeah,
this was right around the trial of Magneto time, uh,
sure.
200. But yeah, they first appeared there in 1984, and one of the members of this committee is Val Cooper.
Yeah, big X character.
Yep. And one of the things that happened with this Commission on Superhuman Activities is because Freedom Force joined them. Mystique and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, they turned to become Freedom Force. Remember that?
Sure do.
That was good times.
Worst rebranding since Freedom Fries.
It was pretty good times. So yeah, they became good guys. And that was your Avalanche and Pyro and Blob and uh,
Mystique,
Destiny.
Destiny. Yep.
Who else was in there at the time? Is that it?
I want to say that's it. I mean, I think
Yeah.
near the later end of it, they added those old soldier guys, like the Crimson
Yes, you
Commando
are
or whatever.
correct. You
Yep.
are correct. Yep. Because
Oh,
I
and
saw,
Spiral was at some point, right?
yeah, I think Spiral was there because she was after Rachel Summers, and that was when all that was going on too. Because I was flipping through these old Captain Americas just to get a sense of things, and there's a cafeteria scene where Blob is giving the business to John Walker since he's the new. They're making fun of him as Captain America. And those three old soldier guys are there as well. So
Ah, yep.
I do remember seeing them there. All right, so but anyway, that's what's going on. This Commission on Superhuman Activities, and they uh, they said, "Hey, Captain America, Steve Rogers, we own the rights to the government owns the rights to the name Captain America and all the
Yeah.
branding and everything.
You can't be Captain America without America. Like it's not allowed.
So you kind of have to do what we tell you to do."
Yeah.
And Steve Rogers says, that ain't gonna work for me. So yeah, he
I believe in
quit.
the American spirit, not so much the American government.
So he quit being Captain America. He
Yeah.
What a storyline that is, huh? And
Pretty great. Yeah.
yeah,
Cap does this from time to time, which is one of
and
the things I do like about him.
yeah, and like we said, Grunwald, this was a very long-term storytelling big arc. This went over years.
Yeah.
This thing,
It sure
so
did.
because it really, like as we mentioned, the John Walker fella, his first appearance was 323, and he doesn't really come back. Like I think he becomes a U.S. agent, and issues like 350 something, 354.
Yeah.
That's like
Yep.
a 3 year arc, basically.
Do you
And
know what capacity they introduced him originally? Was he just like some random soldier guy that was in like
all
one
right,
panel or something? Or
here's what happened. He was in the army with some pals, including a fellow named Lemar Hoskins, who we'll talk about here in a second. And when he
I
got he
will.
got out of the army, I guess when he was growing up, he had an older brother who was in the army, and he died in the army. So he wanted to follow in his footsteps and do all that stuff. But when he came out of the army, he he and his buddy Lemar Hoskins, they went and they saw a fella, the power broker, the old
Oh,
power broker. And would you like to explain what the power broker is to the people?
isn't he just a guy who basically hands out powers, but then you have to like be in his like wrestling league
That's
or
right. It's
whatever?
like Vince McMahon.
Yeah. So you don't get poop on your head. As far as
He had some sort of concoction. He could give you superpowers, like really strong and durable and everything. But yeah, you had to wrestle for him. I think this started in the Thing, right? Or did it start
yep.
in Captain America?
Or it could have been like Marvel 2-in-1 or something like that.
Yeah,
But
one of those. Because
yeah.
like the lady who became the Thing, she was in there, right? And remember
Yeah.
that? I can't remember her. But anyway, so that was what happened. They got their powers, and then he decided to be a hero called the Super Patriot, and he hooked up with this shady agent guy, and this guy says, we can make a lot of money doing this gimmick, and so he got his buddy Lemar Hoskins and his two other military pals. They became the what were their name? The Bold Urban Commandos, nicknamed Buckies. And
Well,
basically, the way they were doing it was basically pro wrestling. Like Super Patriot would show up someplace, and these guys would attack or cause trouble, and then he'd stop them. They'd pretend to fight, and then they'd run off. And like Super Patriot saved the day. You know, they were working everybody,
Yep.
and so he started to get attention for being a Super Patriot, a hero. You know,
Hmm.
and he crossed paths with Captain America at some times, and they got in some scuffles. Um, but so eventually, though, when Steve Rogers started giving, pushing back against this committee, they said, "Hey, you know what? All right, you quit. You're done, and we need a new Captain America. Hey, like, give us that Super Patriot guy.
He
Take that
seems real stable. This guy who's
guy."
faking, attacks basically to make him give himself press. That seems like the guy we want.
That's the other thing we should mention about this John Walker fella. He has a temper. He
Yeah. Oh boy.
it's kind of
It's not as bad here as I feel like it got later, where just like he was just a complete asshole at all times. Like Hawkeye was always kind of like, always questioning authority on the Avengers and stuff, but then like US Agent was like a whole nother level where it's just like this guy sucks. No one wants to be on a team with him.
yeah, he's not the most stable fella. And I guess he's from Georgia, maybe, I think. Is that where he grew up? Georgia, somewhere down south. And
Yeah,
he's a real
somewhere in the South.
conservative fella.
Yep.
And he's got a temper on him. So so he becomes Captain America. And he wanted his buddy Lemar Hoskins and his two other chums, who are the commando fellas, who are doing the gimmick with him. He wanted them all to come on with him, to be his sidekicks. And the government found problems in the other two guys' backgrounds. Like, no, we can't work with these
Uh-oh.
guys. Yeah.
Pizzagate.
so, so they brushed those two. I can't remember their names. But they went on to become left wing and right wing, or their names, and they come back to cause trouble for John Walker. We'll get to that in a second. But so the only guy who passed the background checks or whatever was his buddy Lamar, and so he became the new Bucky.
Yeah, which is kind of insane to have a grown ass man wearing that costume that was made for a child, basically.
And there's a very good point in this issue at the beginning of it where they're going through these exercises and stuff, and John Walker's got his shield to protect him from these like danger room sequences, and Bucky's like, "Hey, can I get a shield? Like, where's my shield? You know, I'm
Yeah, we
just
might not have enough vibranium, but give me something.
I'm just running around here in my underpants, and all this stuff's happening. What's going on?" But yeah, he's a grown adult human, not a little child, as a sidekick, so that's a bonus. And
Huh.
so these two fellas, they become the new Captain America and your Bucky. And now during this time,
It
Steve
is so
Rogers.
weird to also
Oh,
have him be taking the codename of Bucky when Bucky was actually like just the kid's nickname. It was James Buchanan Barnes, so they called him Bucky. Like,
well,
it's not a superhero name that should be passed down to different people.
they kind of, but Bold Urban Commandos, like the nickname for them was Bucky, so they kind of just
Yeah.
mixed in the two of them. But I guess, if you have a new Captain America, he had a Bucky, so you just want a Bucky.
Yeah.
But
You gotta have a
but he
Bucky.
got rid of the name Bucky because I guess he found it demeaning after a while or something. And so do you remember what name he picked then?
No, I didn't know Lamar made it past like 2 issues.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's a long running thing here. He became Battlestar.
Huh. Never heard that name in my life.
Really? Huh.
No.
Because he's bounced around since then. He's been in other. I think Howard the Duck put together a team at one point and he was on it.
That sounds like the kind of guy he could get. Yeah.
But I think if memory serves, in the Disney Plus show, it was pretty good. The Falcon and Winter Soldier, like it had its flaws, but there's a lot of good stuff in it though. And because Wyatt Russell, that's where he first becomes the John Walker, and I think in that show, Lamar dies. I think, spoiler alert, if I'm remembering properly, and that's kind of why John Walker kind of had a real short fuse. He was mad about his friend dying, and then he ended up killing a dude. And
Yeah. From what I hear, though, it was like the leader of a terrorist organization, right? I think that's all right. Like,
no, no, John Walker ended up killing a dude on the streets of New York.
just like a
Which,
random guy who was not involved, or
yeah.
like was the guy?
No,
Oh, okay.
I think it was just a dude. Like, again, if memory, I have watched it years ago, but I think that's what happened. Like he was just pissed, and some guy on the streets pissed him off, and he just
Okay,
killed
yeah,
him
that's a problem, but
with his shield. Yeah, it just so yeah, we'll have to confirm that in post, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. All right. So anyway, getting back to this though. Um, so you got your new Captain America and your new Bucky, and while that's going on, Steve Rogers, he still wanted to help America. He's still Captain America in his heart. So he became the captain.
That's right.
And basically, he was just wearing like a black outfit, basically like a Captain America outfit, but it's just black.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, I still got to, kind of represent my old costume. I'm not, I am an artist. I'm too uncreative to come up with a new costume for myself. So I'll just do the same thing, but black.
So yeah, so the issues during this time, like they were kind of split. Like you would get both storylines going on, and
Yeah. Yeah. Two
eventually,
captains for the price of one.
yeah, and Super Patriot or the new Captain America here, John Walker, things were going okay for him until his old chums who didn't be were like approved to be Buckies. They uh, they showed up at one of his public appearances and they went on stage and they revealed his true identity. They said, this Captain
Oh,
America, you're John Walker. And so that was a problem because then at the same time, the villains in this issue we're doing today, there's this group called the Watchdogs.
yep.
And they were right wing extremists dedicated to upholding and restoring traditional American values, but they like to do it with bombings and violence. You know?
That always works. That always gets people on your
Well, in
side for
fairness,
sure.
what could be more American than bombing? So, but so they went around and when they found out the Captain America, John Walker was his name, they basically went and they kidnapped his parents, and
Ooh.
because they wanted to bring him down, and they ended up killing his parents, and
Oh
then
boy.
John Walker was there at the time, and he saw his parents, and he just went nuts and massacred all the watchdogs that were there. So
Wow. Yeah, that's justified, I would say. Like I'm
yeah, so he like slaughtered
not
them
against
all.
it.
And throughout this time, though, you would see John Walker like beat up villains and stuff, and Bucky would always have to say, "Hey, calm down there, John. You might kill this guy. Keep hitting him in the face." So there's a lot of that going on. So this time he just let it all go, and he murdered all these watchdog guys. So that created a big problem for the government, and they were going to strip him of the Captain America uh, thing. But then they kept him on for a while longer, and then there's other problems, and so eventually. The captain, Steve Rogers, he saved Ronald Reagan. There's a problem at the White House, and he rescued Ronald Reagan. And
Wow.
yeah, so Reagan said, "Hey, thank you, Steve Rogers." And but so when all this is going on, eventually it came back to, all right, John Walker, we can't have you. You're causing too much trouble. All right, Steve Rogers, you can come back and be Captain America again. So
And do they give him carte blanche to do what he wants now? They're like, all
yeah,
right, we won't try
like
to
the
control you
committee
this
wasn't.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so this John Walker guy, then some member of the committee, a general somebody or other, he had an idea where they faked John Walker's death.
Ah,
I think it was another Scourge situation. Um,
makes sense.
and so they had him gunned down, so everybody thought he died, and they said they cremated the body and all that stuff. But then a little bit later, this general guy, he brought John Walker back as a U.S. agent
Yep.
to be his own guy. And so no one knew
Stuck
what
him on
John
the
Walker.
Avengers West Coast, right? To keep
Yep.
them in line.
Yeah, he was a mole on the West Coast Avengers to like spy on him and stuff. And then he eventually got kicked off East Coast. Well, yeah, it was the West Coast Avengers or Avengers West Coast, which I can't remember which one. Avengers West Coast is what they changed it to, right?
I think so. Yeah, they
Yeah,
switched it back and forth. I remember that.
very confusing. But anyway, he got kicked off that team eventually because he got in a fight with Hawkeye.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's no way those two are ever going to get along.
He beat the hell out of Hawkeye, so kicked him off the team.
Yep.
Uh, but I don't know. Do you know any other John Walker stories over the years? Have you encountered
I
him in
believe
any?
he ended up on Force Works at a certain point.
I don't know what that is.
That was kind of like I think once kind of the West Coast Avengers ended, it was kind of a spin-off group where Iron Man started it. And it was kind of a lot of the same characters, those West Coast characters. But it was called Force Works because they're going to be more extreme for the 90s.
Yeah.
uh, and then I remember one of my first major experiences with U.S. Agent was this crossover in like the late 90s called Maximum Security, where they like redesigned his whole costume to make him look a lot like Judge Dredd, which was weird.
Uh,
and like he was put in charge. Like there was a whole thing where like all the alien races of the galaxy decided that Earth was causing too much problems when they come to space and like mess up get involved in their wars and stuff like that. So like we're gonna like trap everyone on Earth, like no one can leave anymore, and we're also gonna ship you all of our like prisoners, like all of our intergalactic prisoners, and we're gonna be a prison planet from now on.
Nice. A lot of
And like
people think we are a prison planet, but that's another
yeah,
story. We're good.
and like U.S. agent was kind of like the government stoolie, like keeping everybody in line. Like he was just an asshole in that. So yeah, he's pretty much always just a guy who's a big jerk.
It's just a big jerk. I like him though. He's pretty cool. So there you go.
It's hard
Uh,
to picture Wyatt Russell being as a big of an
yeah,
asshole as this guy because he seems so
yeah, he's a dick, but he's got a heart of gold in the movies and TV shows.
likable.
Yeah.
I did look it up, and apparently on the show he kills Flag Smasher, the leader of the Flag Smashers. So
Oh, okay.
that's not bad.
I thought he
I
just
feel
killed a
like that's
dude.
justified. Nope, it was the leader
Uh,
of the. It was a terrorist leader, so I'm okay with it.
I think the problem was like, didn't it happen on the street though? And like people were recording it with their cameras and stuff, like their phones, and like he went over the top and killing him, like he was smashing him with the shield in the head and stuff. I think
Or
so.
something, yeah.
It was kind of like, oh yeah, there's no coming back from this. We can't show this to kids. All right, but
That's when you
anyway,
just be like, oh yeah, you pull the same thing they did in the thing. We're like, oh, he died. This is a new Captain America. It's definitely not that guy,
it's
even though
definitely
they look
not
very
John
similar.
Walker. Just don't piss him off. But it's a
Yeah,
different guy, I swear.
totally different guy.
I should also mention that whole Watchdogs group. Do you know who was behind it all?
Well, in issue, he seems to think it was the government themselves, but that doesn't seem likely. So I don't know.
Is
Was it like Faustus?
I think bigger.
Red Skull?
Yep. Red Skull
Of
was
course, it's
behind
always Red Skull.
so
Ultimately, it's always going to be the Red
it's
Skull or the
always the
Captain
Red
America.
Skull. Yeah, it's awesome. So, all right. I guess that's enough background for this. Let's look at the book now, Jack. Oh,
All
I
right.
should say our buddy Lemar, Battlestar, when Steve Rogers came back as the new Captain America and he thought John Walker got murdered, he just went back to his home in Chicago and just was hanging around Chicago for a while.
I know that life well.
Yeah. I guess Steve didn't want another Bucky. So,
Yeah, too many bad memories. And he already had Rick Jones to fill those booties.
how much longer until Winter Soldier pops up? Like,
Ooh, that was like probably 2006,
oh, really? It was that
2005.
long?
Yeah. Yeah, Bucky stayed dead for a long ass time. It was like one of the one constants. Like it was like there's three deaths that'll always be, kept in place, unlike everybody else who comes back to life. It's going to be Uncle Ben,
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy, and Bucky. Those three will never come back, but apparently they're bringing Gwen Stacy back this summer. So
Well, they already brought her back as a clone once, right?
yeah, Spider Gwen in other universes, and yeah, there's Gwens everywhere.
But all right. So yeah, I was going to say even Captain Marvel, they brought him back, right? Or then
No, actually, no, not really. There was a scroll that was pretending to be him
yes,
for a little bit, but yeah.
yeah, we just did this when we did that Death of Captain Marvel. We went through that
Yep.
whole thing. But anyway,
As far as I know, he himself has not actually come back.
all right. So let's look at the cover here, Jank. Why don't you describe it for us?
Hey, so we got the corner box, a big, tall corner box with a picture of Captain America standing and facing right, and Lamar standing and facing left. And
Lamar's
Lamar is
bigger.
quite a bit bigger. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's he's dwarfing Captain
He's
America
like,
here.
hey, maybe you should be my sidekick. How about that?
Yeah, right. How come I get the stupid looking costume? So yeah, that's them against like a yellow background. And then we get a kind of red background that has a bunch of fire coming up and kind of a light yellow color fire in the background. And I'll get the Captain America logo all in black. And then we just basically have a shot of John Walker as Captain America, just roid raging it out and making an inhuman looking face of
Yes,
anger.
he's very angry.
Yeah, as he's lifting up one of the watchdogs and is about to throw him, and the other watchdogs just kind of standing around with torches like they're in a Frankenstein movie and trying to trap a monster in a windmill. And one of the guys got a gun, but he's like, "Oh, I don't want to shoot him because he might hurt that guy, but he's gonna hurt that guy, so might as well try it."
Yeah, these watchdogs. They have like purple outfits with like orange helmets and vests and gloves
Yeah, they're like the
and
bargain basement aim or Hydra.
yeah, big yellow goggles, like visor glasses on,
Like they're gonna go play laser tags, kind of what it looks like.
well, yeah, the
And then it
cover's
says,
exciting. Yeah,
yeah, there's a little box at the bottom. This is featuring the new Cap in his very first adventure.
and this is Tom Morgan on the art, Joe Sinnott on the inking. Yeah, I like the cover. It's exciting. It's thrilling. But like you said, it's like Frankenstein being surrounded by villagers. Yeah,
Yep, because that's
that's
what
great.
torches.
So we open up and we see Stanley presents Captain America: Baptism of Fire. So,
That's a title they've never used before.
and we're at Fort George G. Meade, Maryland, and we get a big splash page. I kind of like Tom Morgan's art in here because it reminds me of Kirby. Um, like
Yeah, I
in
think that's what I didn't like about
yeah, I
it.
hear you.
It's a little too old school for this to
Uh,
be 1987.
but it's very Kirby-esque. Um, so we get a big splash page of John Walker's Captain America running at the camera, and Bucky's like behind him a little bit. And there's all kind of spiked balls in the air and flames, and they're
Where
basically
Lamar's like, "Hey, how come I haven't been nailed yet, Cap? But I sure wish I had a shield like you."
yeah. Can you give me a shield? What the hell? Give him a stick or something. He's got nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing.
no weapons of any kind. I guess he's super strong, but come on,
Yeah.
give him something.
But yeah, he's dressed like old school Bucky though. Like the
Yeah,
red leggings, blue boots, blue bodies, like the button breast panel and the little red collar and
yeah.
little
I mean, it's
domino
it's
mask.
1987. We could update this a little bit. I think people would
So,
be
but
all right with it.
basically, they're going through their own like danger room session, and they're going through like an obstacle course. There's spinning things and fire and some robots with guns and John Walker
Cap's like,
smashing
"Stay
through them.
behind me. My shield can handle this. Why did you bring Lamar along?"
Yes, why don't you just sit this one out, Lamar? Um,
Yeah.
well, yeah, John Walker smashing through the robots, and then they avoid some other obstacles. And like these purple bars stick out of the walls, and
This is like that show Wipeout. You ever watch
yeah,
that? The
John
show?
Cena hosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, these purple bars come shooting across from out of the walls, and Bucky just grabs John Walker and does the old fastball special with him, kind of,
Yeah.
and he gets behind the shield and just shatters through the bars. And that committee's upstairs watching them go through all this, and they're like, "Hey, that's not too bad. They're showing some teamwork." And they got to capture a flag, and John Walker just jumps right through that fire and captures the flag
Yep.
to end the
He just one
exercise.
double there. He
But
got the flag.
I love this panel though because it reminds me because he's got like you see four Captain Americas and like the first three are colored real light to show like they are past events of him jumping and stuff, and then the final one is the present moment. But they always used to do that in Daredevil back in the day. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
great.
Spider-Man 2 would do that for sure when he's
Loved it.
jumping around.
So all right, the committee's applauding him. Val Cooper's there and a bunch of other guys. Is that Gyrick? That dude in the background with the buzz cut and the glasses?
Classic, another classic a-hole.
Yeah. All these government suits. They're all shaking their hands, saying, "Oh, you did a good job, fellas." And he did so good. They're swearing him in as Captain America.
That's right.
Uh,
Got
I
to take
so
the oath.
I solemnly swear to obey the laws of the nation, to uphold the Constitution, and to defend liberty, justice, and the American way. I shall carry out the directives of the Commission to the best of my ability, in or out of uniform, in perpetuity, so help me God. How about that?
Not as good as the Green Lantern oath. Not as
I
memorable.
I think I'm Captain America. I just said that.
Oh, yeah, it's recorded. There's record of it
Yeah,
and everything.
I think it's official. Bucky also has to
Does that make
swear.
me Bucky?
Well, they don't show him swearing in either, so yeah, I guess you can be Bucky. You don't have to
Okay.
swear in.
I look
Uh,
good in short pants.
they just put it in there in a narration box, and after Bucky has repeated the oath, and then they go, Bucky gets no credit, man. Um, but yeah, so we see them going off to hit the showers together. I'm not showering with you. I don't care what we do.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll wait till I get home.
I'm not gonna shower with you. But they're saying, yeah, we got quite the mission picked out for him. But yeah, we see them in the shower, just two bros go in the shower together.
Not quite the mission. The mission is don't drop the soap.
It's kind of you don't really see many dudes showering together in comics. You always get the hot lady
Sexy lady,
showering
yep.
with like the steam covering her, you know.
Yeah, like this
Um,
classic storm, which you just call up a rainstorm and get naked.
but here we just get two jack dudes showering together and toweling off too. so, so what are they talking? They're just talking about they're going to enjoy this new position as Cap and whatever, and going to have some fun. And
So I think, is it true that a U.S. agent is actually stronger than Captain America? Because he looks fucking ripped here.
yeah, he's
Way
jacked.
more ripped than Captain America usually does.
When they fought, it was a standstill, and like John Walker said, he claimed victory because yeah, I won that. Steve Rogers looked like a draw, but like Steve Rogers realized, yeah, he's like stronger than me, kind of. I can't really hurt him
Holy
that
shit.
much, so it seemed that way that he was. I don't know.
So apparently, like all these people who've been trying to recreate the super soldier
Yeah,
serum
just
over
go
the
to the
years were,
power broker.
yeah, just be in a wrestling league for a couple of weeks and you got the secrets.
Uh, so now we cut it. Yeah, so they're getting dressed. They're going to go out in the town and celebrate, have a dinner together. And now we cut over to that night somewhere in the southeastern United States. And I like this. This is great because they're like out in the it looks like in the mountains in the wilderness somewhere, just a bunch of trees and mountains and open grass everywhere.
Yep.
And then there's a building in the middle of it. And would you like to tell the people what that building is? Can you
Well, it's an adult books and toys.
adult books and toys in the middle of a farmland somewhere? And
That actually makes a lot of sense. I feel like every porn store I've ever seen is always in the most
oh, really?
remote areas.
Oh, really?
Like when
Huh.
I go to the Ren Fair, like there is like just this big open space for the Ren Fair, and then like a tiny adult bookstore next to it,
I
and
had
like
no
one gas
idea.
station, and like that's it. That's
I
all
had
it's in
no
this
idea.
area.
I'm sure Jack just knows this from passing. It's not like he's a frequent customer or anything, but he just knows
Oh, I've
from
never
passing.
actually gone in, but I see it every time I go because I'm just like, hey, look at little tiny porn store.
Little tiny porn store. But the Watchdog group are there, and they don't like the pornography,
Oh,
and they need Plastic
till
Man
the
out
internet
here.
shows up, guys. You can't blow up everything.
Yeah, that's right. This is a good 7 years before the internet. They're blowing up the porn shop in the middle of nowhere, and they're watching it burn. And then one of the guys gets shot in the back, and
Yeah.
it's just some old fat farmer guy in overalls, and he's like, "You god dang arsonists! I sunk every cent I had into that store. It was my only way of making a living. It gives you suckers the right." This guy's dream was to own an adult bookstore and toy store in the
Yep.
middle of nowhere.
It was the only way he could make his living.
So all the
Porn was
watch,
putting his kids through college.
so all the watch. Do you remember that Mr. Show? Do you ever watch Mr. Show back in the day?
Yep. Yep.
Odenkirk and Cross. Remember the
Mhm.
family-owned adult store? Do you remember? Anyway, all right. So the Watchdogs, though, they get this farmer. They just get in a line and boom, execute him. They all just
Yeah.
got him down.
We get some interior monologuing from one guy who's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to pull my shot and shoot above the guy because I don't want to shoot him. But that's still like, leaves like nine other guys that are shooting him right in the heart. So
That was one of the things. How do you feel about the internal monologue of just this one random watchdog guy? And
it was kind of weird, but he never really paid off into anything.
yeah, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about with Grunwald. He does stuff like this where it doesn't really work. But
But I mean,
um,
maybe apparently this is not the end of the Watchdogs. They come back in a big bad way later. So maybe that guy, is part of
I
something later on.
guess maybe it could pay off later. But it's just weird that we're getting into because we don't know who this guy is unless it's because they're all dressed alike. They're not using names, so you have no idea who this guy is. Yet we're getting in his head for some reason. And we also, yeah, from a writing standpoint, earlier when the committee's meeting them, we got in the heads of a couple of the guys, or one guy standing in the background. He says, "Glory boating so and so's." He's thinking to himself. So it's weird that he's just getting into random characters' thoughts, but um,
Yeah, I don't mind that kind of thing. I like seeing, little snippets of what people are thinking.
yeah. See, in the fiction world, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. But I guess '80s comic books are a wild scene. So anyway, the Watchdog guy who got shot in the back, he's all right because he had that vest on. He just knocked.
Yeah,
He's,
knocked him a little loopy. That's it.
yeah.
He's good.
But yeah, so they're getting out of there now, and we cut over to John Walker and Lemar, and they're having a meeting with um, basically the committee's like publicity department, I guess. They're telling them like,
Yeah, it's like the not important members of the committee, like no Val Cooper, no Guy Rick, just some other randos.
yeah, but it's all like very corporate-y and you know, I imagine what a network TV meeting would look like. They just all
Yeah.
sit around.
Your Q ratings aren't that good, Captain America. You got to appeal to that, 18 to 45 demo.
This we should also mention John Walker is a very like flat top buzz cut, like
Yeah.
very stern looking fella.
Square.
And this fellow leading the meeting, he says the watchdogs believe themselves to be arbiters of the public good. They're against pornography, sex education, abortion, the teaching of evolution, anything they believe to be immoral. And John Walker thinks to
He's just,
himself, I'm against those things too.
yeah, these guys have some good points. I
Maybe I should join the watchdogs.
might have picked the wrong side.
These guys sound pretty awesome.
They probably like drinking. I like drinking.
So the guy leading the meeting, and he's smoking or is that just a pencil? I thought it was a dart and a fancy cigarette holder.
Yeah,
there it's
sure
go.
does look like it.
And he's like, well, every citizen or a group of citizens has the right to their opinions, of course. No one's entitled to commit vandalism, arson, or murder. And Walker says, so Bucky and I are supposed to go out and stop these guys somehow, right? And he's like, that's right. We want you to
Yeah.
infiltrate one of the local chapters of the group, learn who its ringleaders and financial backers are, and then arrange to catch them in the act. So, quite the plan they got there. And,
Yeah. What a first mission.
and John Walker's like, hey, wait a minute. These guys operate right where I grew up
Yeah.
in
Look,
Georgia.
can't you send me to anywhere else? It's gonna be awkward. They're like, nope, this is it.
So he's like, oh, well. And so he and Lemar are getting ready to go down south.
Yeah.
He's like, I just wish it didn't have to be in my old stomping grounds. There's so much greater a chance I'll be recognized.
Or be forced to turn in somebody I know.
Yeah. Oh, no. Poor
Mm.
John Walker. So John and Lemar drive into town there, and Lemar drops John off at a barber shop, and he knows the barber because he used to live there.
Yep.
And he's
It
like,
does seem
hey.
weird that Lamar would drop him off. Like, you think if they're going to pretend to be enemies later on, maybe they shouldn't be seen in the same car together.
Yeah. Well, no one's paying attention. Yeah, because they got quite the scheme cooking that they're going to play
Yeah.
here. It's pretty great. But John, this barber's all happy to see John. They knew each other growing up or whatever, and gives him a haircut. And he's sneakily trying to get information out of the barber, like, yeah, well, yeah, did you hear about these watchdog fellas? Yeah,
They seem pretty cool, right?
yeah, aren't they
Guys
something to
is
be
like,
proud of? But when he leaves though, with his fancy new haircut, He's like, yeah, I didn't learn
Which
anything.
looks exactly like his old haircut.
It's shorter. It's a little bit shorter.
That's
Little
true.
took a little off the top. He's not so much like a kid and play now. They lowered it down
He
a
doesn't
little.
have the skateboard ramp in the front anymore so much.
Yeah. So he goes back to the motel there, Lamar. Yeah, maybe you and Lamar shouldn't be sharing a motel room either.
Yeah,
And please, for
not
the
the
love of
best
God,
undercover work.
tell me you're not showering together still. Please, I'm begging you.
How else are they
But
going to reach their massive rippling backs?
so, but they got a plan. The next day, they got a scheme coming out, and of course, right away, he's taking his shirt off and throwing it in the luggage.
These guys are very close.
I think there might be something more going on here with Lamar and John. All right, so now we cut over 3 days later at a hotel room outside Rome, Georgia, and we see a bunch of
What
ladies waiting in line.
they've been doing for 3 days? Just
Yeah,
showering.
yeah, showering, getting to know each other. So we see a bunch of foxy ladies sitting in line there, and we get inside their heads, and they're all thinking, "Golly, I'd do anything to be one of those fancy dressed models.
Yeah.
200 bucks if I'm picked.
Uh,
Oh, please."
Wonder if he makes us show what we got.
And he's like, so inside Lamar is dressed like all fancy, like a Hollywood producer, and he's interviewing these ladies one at a time. And um, would you would you like to play Lamar in this exercise or? Um,
So, Tammy, why do you want to pose Looker Magazine's Chicks of the South photo spread?
well, my daddy always said, if you got it, flaunt it. She's got her fingers crossed behind her back, though.
Yep.
So what do you think that means?
Uh,
She doesn't have it.
or sure, she barely doesn't actually know her dad. That would make a lot of sense.
And we see, all right,
Uh,
go to the next
you
one, I
had any
guess.
modeling experience before, Mary Lynn?
No, sir. But I'm sure I can hold any pose anybody else can.
You sure you wouldn't mind men drooling over your picture?
I don't think so. And then slam. John Walker busts in. All right, where's that scuzzbag trying to corrupt you fine women?
Hey, what's your problem, dude? I rented this room and
You dirty. But that's that Joe Beth lady. She's like, John Walker. She went to the senior prom with him.
yeah. Now she's trying to be in porn. She's like, oh, I'm so embarrassed.
John's thinking to himself, well, Mary Lynn Norfolk, I took her to the senior prom. She'd fall for this. And then John Walker yells at Lamar, filth peddler, get your black butt out of here now.
Yeah, he's acting pretty good because of that whole prom thing. You're like, oh, maybe he's actually gonna murder him.
So he and Lamar get in a fight there, and they're working a fight. It's not a shoot, it's a work, brother.
Ah.
And but they're tearing through the office, knocking over tables, hitting each other with chairs.
It's kind of like the fight from They Live a little bit.
Lamar breaks a couch over John Walker.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever seen someone break a couch over somebody.
they're not doing a very good job of pretending to be normal people. That's for sure.
Well, they were in a big fight, and Lamar's like, "Hey, take it easy, buddy. How much longer do we have to keep doing this?" And he says, "Till the cops show up." So they just keep fighting. And now we cut over. They're in the jail cell together, separate
Well, opposite
cells.
jail cells,
Yeah,
yeah,
separate cells. And the barber guy comes to bail out John Walker. Yeah,
yeah.
he heard about it, I guess. And
He's like,
so
I got some friends with some money. They wanted to spring your bail here and wanted to meet with you.
yeah.
John's like, oh boy, that's got to be those watchdogs.
Yep. So now we get to a little underground lair or wherever they're at, and we get three watchdogs meeting with him at a little table, and he's sitting down, and they give him a card or whatever, I don't know, and they say, "Our next initiation assembly will be held this Thursday night. Bring cookies."
And
They go, well, I added the
then
cookie
it
part
then it cuts to Thursday night.
yes. So now their initiation ritual basically is out in the woods, and they just start a big fire, and they stand around. And John's blindfolded when he gets there, so he takes the blindfold off. And what do they have him do, Jack, to be initiated?
Well, they make him put a pickle up his ass, and then he has to walk. And if the pickle falls out at any time, he has to take a bite and put the
No,
pickle back
that's
in and
not
try again.
that's not what they do at all.
Oh,
Uh, that's how you got the
dang.
co-hosting job on this show. That's not what they did.
They're not as sadistic as people that
What
run this
did
empire.
what did they do?
They basically just have him give another oath. He's doing another oath like he did
Yeah.
earlier, but this one he's solemnly vows to. I don't know. We don't actually get to see the rest of it.
Yeah.
He
But
just says, "I solemnly vow."
he does think to himself, this is the second swearing in ceremony I've done in less than a week. I feel like such a
Yeah.
hypocrite. Yeah.
Yep. And then they give him his uniform. He
Yeah,
starts
his own
putting
little
it on.
watchdog uniform.
Yeah. His little dog on the helmet there.
But then there's one other thing they ask him to do.
Oh yeah. They're like, well, all right. Before we go, we have one other matter to attend to. Bring forth the pornographer. And he's like, uh-oh, that's probably Lemar. And yep, it's Lemar. They
Yeah.
bring him out. He's all moving weird, so it looks like he's been drugged. And they're gonna lynch him.
Yeah. Pretty
Yeah,
racially charged content here.
it
I don't
sure
know.
is.
Now, in fairness to the Watchdogs, they lynch anybody. Like it's
That
not
is
just
true.
not just black people. They're
Although, I
lynching
mean,
everybody.
the other pornographer just got shot by like 9 guys.
Yeah. But I think I saw other issues where they were lynching white people as well. So they just lynch everybody. Um, but
Just the
yeah,
cheapest way to kill people, I guess. Yeah, all you need is a rope.
so Lamar, yeah, they got his hands tied behind his back, and they tell Walker, "Well, string him up, buddy." And he's like, "What? What?" So naturally, Captain America is not going to stand there and let these bums lynch his best chum in the world. You know?
Ah, a man he showered with together multiple times.
Yes. Clearly, he's going to stand up and do something, right?
Well, he's like, I can't switch to Cap in time to get back here and do anything, so I don't know.
Yeah, and he can't. He doesn't want to risk letting them know that he's Captain America because then these people know him as John Walker.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so he's got to protect his secret identity. So in such a situation, all you can do is just turn your back to Lamar and go away. That's all it is. He says, well, I sure hope Lamar's strong neck muscles can save him.
He's like, if I learned anything from the cover, it's Lamar is taller than me, so maybe he can just reach the ground.
And then he's like, what if the commission's behind this? What if this is all a test, you know? And they
Yeah,
arrange it maybe just to see what the right answer, what I do, what's more important, Lamar's life or the mission? It's a test, you see.
very paranoid, this John Walker already.
Yeah. And then like this one guy just whispers to the other watchdog, he says, "Sir." He's like, "Oh, yeah, of course." And he's like, "Hey, fellas, we gotta go. So everyone, we got work in the morning. So, and if we got, we gotta go torch that library. We
Yeah.
don't have a lot of time."
It's like the 60s Batman show. We don't have time to actually watch the person die. We're just going to leave him in an easily escapable death trap.
Yeah, so we'll just leave him here with John Walker and or no, John Walker, you come with us. We're
Yeah.
leaving him here with two other guys. We got to go torch that library. You know,
But to John Walker's credit, he does use this opportunity to be like, I got to go take a leak.
well,
And
not right away though. Not till they're at the library, 15 minutes away.
oh, yeah, half hour later, it says. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So he just turns his back to the bar. He's about to get strung up, and he just leaves. He just, I don't think Steve Rogers would have done that. I don't know.
Probably not. He would have
I,
found a way.
I don't remember when Baron Zemo was going to hang Bucky. And he's like, you know what? I'll see you later, Buck. I gotta go. But so yeah, they show up at the library. They're about to torch it, and they're like, "Hey, where's that new guy?" And he's like, "Oh, he had the call of nature. He had to go." And then they look up on the roof of the library, and there's Captain America. So
It's that superhero Captain America.
yeah, that's how they spell it out. Too. Super. But where was his uniform and shield?
uh, ooh. Maybe the hotel is right next to the library.
Because you can't really just. Is this like a juggernaut helmet
Yeah,
situation?
exactly.
It folds
Folds
into
into
his
his
pants.
pants.
just add water and it springs back to life. I don't know, but yeah, so he jumps down from
Vacuum seals it like one of those clothes bags.
he jumps off the library roof and he's like, "Evildoers beware." But then he says to himself, "Yeesh, that was corny. What is Captain America's battle cry anyway?"
Yeah, I guess it's just Avengers Assemble usually, but that's only if you have a team.
He's
When he's
like,
solo, not so much.
he's like, "I'd better just keep my mouth shut if I can't think of anything appropriate to say. A less chance anyone will recognize me by my voice."
You know what he should have done is gone Team America and been like, America, fuck yeah.
So he starts beating up the Watchdogs, and they're like, "It's just one guy. We can take him." But yeah, he's beating the hell out of him, and
Yeah.
he's already good with the shield. Oh, that's another cool thing about John Walker. Do you know how they train him to use the shield?
No.
They brought in Taskmaster.
Oh, of course. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was awesome. Um, I guess it was the issue before this, but yeah, he wasn't doing so good, and so they bring in Taskmaster, and he trained him. And but Taskmaster comes in like all handcuffed and stuff, and then they have their training sessions, and then they handcuff him again. Like,
Yep, you got to. How
but
else are you gonna do it?
but why isn't when he's not handcuffed? And why doesn't he just beat the hell out of everybody? He's Taskmaster.
I don't even know that Taskmaster would be a good teacher because he's just be like, why can't you get this? I got this in 2 seconds from seeing him throw it once.
But yeah, so that's how he learned to be captain by training with Taskmaster. So
I do like that he is so skilled with this shield. He's able to knock like 5 torches out of people's hands at once
yeah, he's awesome.
with one throw.
Well, it helped that they were standing in a line with their torches. But yeah, he bounces it off a tree and then catches it. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then the sound effect when he punches 4 dudes, whang.
He was thinking about Lemar in the shower.
But these watchdogs, there's a lot of them, so they all pile on top of him. And but it doesn't matter. He just pops up and sends them all flying. You know,
Yeah.
beats the hell
One
out
guy
of them all.
loses his helmet.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Did we mention that one of the guys he recognized was the barber guy? Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Obviously.
Um, so, but yeah, he has them all beaten up, and the cops show up, and he's like, "Here, officers, these men were trying to set the library on fire. Take them into custody. I'll be behind the station later to make my statement." And he just jumps out over their heads and leaves.
Yeah, I better go check on Lemar finally. It's been like
It's
an hour, but
yes, because it's 15 minutes later from the time he left the cops, and it was like a half hour, so it's been like an hour. But and when we're running in, we see some feet hanging in the foreground of the panel, but it's actually the feet of the watchdog guys that Lamar has on his shoulders.
Yep.
And
No, good switcheroo there.
and he's like, "Oh, so you came back?" And he's like, "Yeah, me leave you stranded out here? Never." Yeah. An hour later.
Oddly enough, this has been an hour, so Lemar must have broken out like almost an hour ago. I still has the noose around his neck, and there was only like 2 guys. Like, what is he? What have you been doing?
Maybe he's just sitting, maybe he's just waiting for him to come back. You know?
I want
I
you to
don't know.
see what you almost let me happen to me.
So Lamar is just carrying this Lamar, he's a big, strong dude, and he's carrying me these watchdogs under his arms like sacks of potatoes. And
Yeah.
they're walking back to the watchdog's car, I guess. And and in his thought balloons here, what John Walker says, "I just knew you could handle the situation yourself, pal." But then in his head, he's thinking, "Like blazes, I did. I was gambling with Lem's life. I just hope he understands."
It was scary for a moment there, Cap, but I snapped my cuff, tore myself down.
Know how I have it figured? This whole thing was a test set up by the Commission. No, they didn't invent the watchdogs, but they infiltrated the group and placed key people in it to make it as difficult a test for me as they could. It really rankles that they'd go to such elaborate lengths to test me. I'd really like to tell them how much it stinks. And then he's thinking to himself, though, but if they knew I figured it out, that would probably invalidate the whole thing. And I'd always have to wonder if they'd be spying or if they'd spring another one on me. I wonder if this is why the original Cap quit on them. He just couldn't trust them. And that's the end.
Ooh.
Hey,
Yeah, I don't know why they would do this just to test you. Like, there's actual supervillains they could
yeah,
send you against.
yeah, John Walker. I don't think it's a test. I think you just wanted to didn't give a damn about Lamar. I think that was the thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Just, this is shocking though that he would just let Lamar hang.
uh,
So there it is. That's the end. I loved it. I thought it was great because it's got the pornography angle.
sure.
The
That's
the
always a
adult,
plus around here.
the adult bookstore blowing up in the middle of nowhere was great. But then the casting call for the ladies, and they're all, I can hold any pose.
The prom
Uh,
date angle, yeah, that was quite the touch.
John Walker just saying, yeah, Lamar will be fine. His neck's strong. No big thing.
Yep. All the torches. Classic.
I really enjoyed this a lot. So I don't know any other anything we missed or need to. You didn't like the Tom Morgan art. It's not the best, but it is Kirby-esque, and I liked it. Had a nice feel to it, so I didn't mind it.
Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite. It could use. There are certainly some panels where it's like, oh, okay, this looks cool enough. But then a lot of the times, like you said, it was very square and Kirby-esque, and
Yeah, like simplistic. But yeah, it's no Win Mortimer. Don't get me wrong.
like
But,
that face on the cover, that's pretty grotesque.
but
I know he's angry, but
he's conveying his anger.
yeah, yeah. So I guess in that way it succeeds, but it's also not something I want to look at. I'm not putting up a poster of that cover on my wall unless I want
Uh,
nightmares.
Hey, remember those great Mike Zeck covers for Captain America? They always made good posters. Wolverine hitting that shield, the claws.
Oh, I got that one.
Yeah, good times. Um, yeah, and again, Grunwald here. The big picture stuff is awesome. Like it's just such a good idea that he loses. Like a lesser writer would have Captain America quit, and then like he's Captain America in 3 issues.
Yeah.
But like this lasted like 2, 3 years. It just kept going.
And at least unlike Daredevil, he was actually being something else. Like he had another identity, the Captain. It wasn't just Captain America's going to live a normal life. Let's have a whole 3 years of comics about that. Like that wouldn't have been fun.
Just grocery shopping. Yeah.
Yeah. Here he is at his art job again.
Going to shoot hockey. Yeah. But yeah, so I really dig all this and good on Grunwald. He was
Good
doing some.
introduction to kind of John Walker as Captain America, where it's like you can tell, okay, this guy's unhinged a little bit. Like this isn't going to go well, but without fully committing, to how crazy he's going to be at this point. But it's
Yeah,
good. It's seeding that theme in your mind.
in the writing, you say action is character. Show the character doing something. Take action. And we see him by not saving Lamar. That's an action that's a decision he made. And it reveals who he is. He's not Steve Rogers. Because there's no way Steve Rogers would make that decision. But John Walker would,
Yeah.
So it's,
Although to be fair, it's easier for Steve Rogers because he doesn't have a family to protect, where apparently John Walker did, and didn't him getting outed by this group
that is
did
fair.
lead to their deaths. So
But Steve Rogers always does the right thing no matter the consequences. And,
that is true.
walking away from Lamar there is wrong. But he was just trusting that Lamar could handle it. So,
Yeah, he probably should have made the whole thing about going to the bathroom a little bit sooner. Like as they're walking away, like,
yeah,
oh,
like,
hey,
yeah, you know what? I gotta go. I'll be right
yep,
back. That tree where they're gonna hang that guy? I gotta go take a leak behind that tree. I'll see you.
yeah,
I'll catch
I'm
up
going to
later.
show that pornographer what I think peeing on him.
Bring forth the pornographer. That was great. So yeah, I like this a lot. I don't know, man. It's at least an 8 out of 10 for me.
Wow. I'll probably give it a 7 just because the art they really didn't work for me so much. But the story was fun. Mark Grunwald definitely knows his way around Captain America. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I like his long-term planning and the way he tells the story. So,
Yep. So there you go. Captain America 335. John Walker, go see Thunderbolts. It's actually a good movie. I know
yeah.
no one believes it because it's Marvel. People are sick of
Yeah.
Marvel.
Tired of giving them money when they just make crap.
This is not crap. Now,
Yeah.
when will you
That's
go
the
back? Will you go back for Doomsday or no?
I guess maybe, especially if Deadpool's going to be in it, then I'll have to
Ah,
probably.
okay, yeah.
But honestly, yeah, I don't really have much interest in, in even that because it's going to be so many characters that I'm sure they're not going to balance it correctly. Everyone's going to get like 1 second of screen time, especially if you've
Yeah.
got like a bunch of different teams vying to be the Avengers. Like that's going to be weird to
It's like 10
try to
people.
sandwich that into the movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Going to be tricky. So, all right, that's it for this week. What do you got for us next week, Jack?
all right, well, for my first pick of this new year of the show, I figured before I started picking some more bullshit, some
Oh
random
yeah,
things
wait,
that
wait. Let me stop you right there because you say the new year of the show. Let's remind everybody that we did put out our Flea Market Fantasy. What do we call them? The
uh,
Flea Awards,
Golden Flea Awards.
the
Yeah.
Golden Flea Awards. When you're listening to this show, that episode would have gone up the previous Friday evening.
Oh,
So yes, go back and listen to the fifth annual Golden Flea Awards, where we do that every 50 issues, and we
yep,
look back at the previous year and we give out awards to the best and the worst, and it's a grand old time. So yeah, we had two episodes go up last week, not just one, two. So
yep.
all right,
Go back and watch them both.
but yeah, this is a new Flea year, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I figured I would stick with one of the classics for this before we start getting weird again. And I figured it's time to check in with your old buddy Batman again.
Oh, son of a!
'Cause we really haven't done many Batman since the that Riddler issue that we did not that long ago, or about a year ago, honestly. It was early on in this past year. So I was thinking about what to do. I was like, maybe we could do year one, do some, setting up for the Dark Knight Returns by looking at
That's
another Frank
never
Miller
gonna
Batman story.
happen. You don't have to set up for
Well,
that.
we already did, Miller and Mazzucchelli for the Daredevil thing. So I was like, well, let's not do that. So instead, I was like, I'll do a comic that I have not actually read before. We're going to look at Batman Year Two.
What?
That's right.
Didn't know they had a year two.
Yes, this was actually just part of Detective Comics. We're going to look at the fourth part of a four-part storyline in Detective Comics number 578.
578.
Yeah.
Do you know what year this is?
This was September of 1987.
Oh, I would have guessed even later. So, all right.
Mike W. Barr and Todd McFarlane
Oh, son
drawing
of a
Batman. Yeah. So much cape.
McFarlane and Batman. This is my worst nightmare. Good God.
You're
All right.
gonna love it.
So I guess this is just focusing on year two of Batman.
Yeah, yeah. Although realistically, I don't know how it can
Yeah.
cover a whole year in 4 issues. So it's kind of just an
Isn't that what
interesting
year one
story from
was
the
that too?
second year.
Wasn't that just a little
That's
short?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, this seems more self-contained, though. I feel like this is an interesting story, or I don't know if it's actually interesting. I haven't read it, but
I'm gonna guess it's not.
I think it's kind of been retconned a lot of times. But it involves Batman using guns, and I think this is where he like learns to stop using guns.
Oh no.
It took him till year two to realize maybe this
He
wasn't a good
accidentally
idea.
shot himself in the ass. He was putting it in his back pocket and it went off. All right. So that's next week here in the big show, Batman Year Two. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. And until then, don't get any jank on you.